Having studied Smithers history back to 1925, I really thought I knew a little bit about the history of the tire industry in the early days. I must admit I was absolutely astounded to discover that in the 20s, the number of firms claiming to manufacture tires was 275. Between 1926 and 1932, most of these upstarts fell by the wayside, and a smaller number of firms with increasing market share of a growing market evolved. These were exciting times for the survivors, with substantially growing and more focused research and development budgets. So, as you can see, spending has been up by the 5 largest tire manufacturers. In addition, the next 15 largest tire companies have also increased research and development spending. Clearly, you can see in these graphs that as the industry has battled its way out of the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, spending on research and development and compliance has rebounded as well. I'd love to tell you that these changes were purely driven by the need for innovation, but the data does not necessarily indicate that conclusively. The data would suggest it certainly tracks the economic situation in the industry rather than purely the need for innovation. Now, let me tell you, in my opinion, this is a very appropriate response by the leadership of the tire industry. At the same time, tire company CEOs and executive teams are under tremendous pressure to add shareholder value with increased profits. It's inescapable. We cannot simply spend more when profits are challenged. The equity markets will not allow it. We must innovate. Perhaps a more appropriate way to look at research and development and compliance spending is as a percentage of revenues. This line represents the average R&D budgets of the top 5 tire companies as a percent of sales. Please note that over the last 8 years, budgets as a percent of revenues have declined ever so slightly. If we look at the next 15 tire manufacturers, the same story is told. R&D and compliance spending as a percent of sales has trended downward slightly. As I indicated previously, do not read that this is short-term thinking on the part of tire company executive teams. We have certainly seen R&D processes improved with the advancement of modeling and other technologies.